Episode 10.
Ding, 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 ding. Winner.
Winner takes it all. Da 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 da
That
da.
song was terrible.
You know, Bob Odenkirk is a great singer.
Yeah, it's got quite the range.
We actually talked about karaoke last time, and Saul Goodman was your karaoke name.
Yeah,
so
it was my karaoke name for all. It was Saul Good. Saul Good.
that was actually a great Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
I
I used to do the, because I got the raspy voice. I could do a little Neil Diamond. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's a good way to start off the episode too, with a little karaoke action. That made me happy.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks so much for joining us, everyone. This is the Fanatics of Film, and my name is Ben.
I'm Joe.
Thank you so much for joining us here, and we're starting this new week here, season finale of Better Call Saul, season opener for The Walking Dead. AMC is having quite a week this week.
Yeah, this was a really good season finale.
Yeah.
I'm still like reeling it in. I'm still taking in processing all the information and the bits of detail. Some shocking moments.
I loved the scene at the very end of this when this is a great scene here with Saul and Chuck end up in the same bed together, singing the song, singing this "Winner Take It All" song together.
That's the karaoke.
This whole sequence was great. I mean, my favorite part of this episode was this karaoke moment, because he pulled Chuck up there and got Chuck into it, and they were just both embracing each other
Chuck took it over.
Yeah.
It was the karaoke scene was really good, and so was this aftermath. You could tell that he still has his issues with Jimmy being a lawyer, but it's like for a moment we get to see a little bit of brotherly bonding.
Yeah.
So that was really
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that was great. What did he say? Saul's like, we can get away with one nipple.
Yeah, people love symmetrical.
So what was it? So what happened?
He's talking, he's drunk, Jimmy, and Chuck's tucking him in, and he says that to tell Howard to change HMM to HMMH.
To make it more symmetrical.
To make it more symmetrical, because people like symmetrical. And then he starts talking about, because of the eyes, it just makes everything look better.
Okay,
you can live without, you've got 2 feet, you've got 2 legs, but you could live with one nipple.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's all about being symmetrical.
What if a shirt that says that? You can be. Someone in our high school had a single nipple, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I wonder if anyone had a superfluous nipple. You know, a third nipple. Like Scaramanga from The Man with the Golden Gun. James Bond, good stuff.
And then?
Christopher Lee, the late Christopher Lee. He had a third nipple in that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doesn't look very convincing, but
yeah, it's a nipple.
A Bond villain with a third nipple and a golden gun.
That's what's the most that's the most threatening thing about this villain is his third nipple, because it shoots lasers.
Exactly.
So the next thing that I thought of was Saul having to stand in front of the grave all day and do his little performance
do a
there.
Sob story. Which seems so insincere, but that's the point. I mean, if you don't know him, you could easily see it's sincere. We know the characters.
You saw him doing his thing, and you immediately said, "What angle are you playing?"
Yeah, what's the angle here? Because any of the emotions surrounding Chuck is just, it's not really there.
It's kind of weird too. Because after them making decisions, it makes you wonder how much space how much time has gone by. Because they literally just barely told him, you're not sincere enough, right? That's basically why and now they are. They're granting him.
I forget.
So it makes you wonder how.
I'm sure it's a couple weeks at least. I don't know.
Maybe a week or two, but it's just weird that they would all of a sudden. They know that he knows that he wasn't sincere. So all of a sudden they see him sincere. Anyway, it's
got to be longer than that, because he did the donation of $23,000 to the wing. And if you know the time length between
last episode and this one, because it was literally the last episode to me, because no, it wouldn't be any time jump, because because Mike is running after Werner right away. Like so,
right.
it wouldn't be
it
any
was
time
2
then.
episodes ago.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 episodes.
Okay,
ago.
so it's probably a week then. But it's just to me, it's a little weird. Like they wouldn't be going, there's something fishy. You know, before he wasn't so sincere, and now all of a sudden he's sincere. But I think it may have been coincidental that it wasn't it's like so. Because it's been a year. Because it's a year since Chuck died.
This season lasted. Yeah, it's from the time Chuck died all the way through the end of this season. I think they've covered a lot more time than they have on the show before.
Yeah, and then the other funny part about this was that when Eduardo is searching for him, he's singing the "Winner Takes It All" song.
That was a nice.
That was
a nice little
hilarious.
bit. He's just nonchalant, looking through the binoculars. Humming the song, eating snacks. They're like, hey, that's the same song.
That was really funny. And it's just quick backtrack. It's the song when Bob Odenkirk sings that song. It's unrecognizable. Like I was like, what song is this?
Timing's off. There's
no notes. There are no existing notes. Sorry, Bob, we love you, but it was just and he knows. I mean, it was just funny. But having a member of Spinal Tap come in there and sing it for real was fantastic. So
and then having him kind of take over the thing, and then you see what I got a kick out of was watching. Jimmy's like enthusiasm behind him. He's still singing along with Chuck.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah. So
good moment between Michael McKean and Bob Odenkirk.
That was so good. That was my favorite scene of this episode.
Both of the main storylines that were happening in this episode really tying the season together, but also setting it up for next season. I really liked what the storyline with Mike involving Gus and Eduardo following Mike. And first of all, watching Gus and then finding out about Mike and then following him and the whole sequence of Mike having to lose him and that whole subplot, and then the other subplot involving Jimmy trying to get reinstated as a lawyer. Just incredibly good.
Yeah.
I'm very happy because it also means that Nacho makes it to the next season because we didn't see anything bad happened to him. He wasn't even in this episode except for the recap.
Not yeah, that's right. It's because I remember when we talked about this last. I'm not sure if it was last episode or the episode before, but we were trying to figure out how if Gus is going to punish Nacho for anything. I don't think so. At this point, it's between Gus, Mike, and Werner at this point, but actually just whatever. But I do remember also. So once again, just back to Saul and his convincing everyone. He's 23 grand on this fundraiser. And then he mentions the whole thing about his proposal to it. Oh yeah, what if I save someone from a fire?
Yeah, the judge will set her house on fire and I'll rescue her, and that'll show that I'm sincere. And it's like, yeah, not a good idea. I love the way Kim doesn't even say anything, and he kind of figures it out on his own. That it's too big, he says.
It's like he's half serious though, because he's like, that would be great though. What if I said? Then there's no way they would say that I'm not. It's like it'd be like it's too over the top of an idea because someone could die.
Absolutely see him doing it in a future season. If it hadn't worked out the way it did, I could totally see him arranging something like that. He's pretty devious and shifty.
The theatrics of it all.
Bob Odenkirk, I gotta tell you, man, he gave a hell of a performance in this episode. Like, I don't really care about the award ceremonies. They are meaningless to me, but if you're in the industry, then it's important to you for various reasons. So I would say that I think he deserves an Emmy nomination for that performance tonight.
He really does. My second favorite scene of the episode is him running out after the college, or the scholarship nominee, the person who they all didn't go... And he's just basically saying, "You don't need them. You're going to go out and do great things."
Screw them.
And that was so great. He was basically living vicariously through her, and I can't remember her name.
It totally paralleled his situation.
Yeah, exactly.
They were going to judge her, and not even he was the only one who gave her a vote for the scholarship, and nobody else did because they referred to
because
it
of her past. Because of her past,
she'd gotten in trouble. So Jimmy's going through the same thing. So. I thought it was interesting, though, that they gave him a second, like, hey, you make an excellent point. Let's have another
let's have another vote. And so,
but of course,
they probably just all voted for the same thing.
Yeah,
and then, but he saw himself in her. He saw. Literally, like I said, he was living vicariously through that. So that was amazing.
I don't know if he saw.
I love that.
Yeah, he definitely saw himself in the situation.
Right.
Like, hey, this is what they're doing to me.
Right.
And so, him going out there and just telling her straight up, you didn't get it, but it doesn't matter. Those people will never let you in. That again.
He gave her tough.
Bob Odenkirk gave like 3 rousing performances in this episode that were just incredible. I love Bob Odenkirk. He's such a good actor. Ever since Mr. Show, the Ben Stiller Show, even. I love that guy. How do you go from a writer, from doing stand-up improv comedy to writing for SNL?
Writing with Conan O'Brien, hanging out with Conan O'Brien,
going to stuff like this. It's amazing.
And so the other scene that was actually really fun was getting Eduardo lost in the parking lot with the gum. And that was actually super clever. And it's one of those things where you see him. Okay, he's putting the gum. He's taking the chewed gum out and put it back in the wrapper. What is he doing with that? It becomes your gum credit card.
I love how Mike seems to be 2 steps ahead. So it'd be. You know what? I bet you that'll be the next prequel series. Will just be a young Mike. And then you'll just get to see how he became so crazy. I don't want to see that. We don't need to see that. I'm fine with you just see it on Jonathan Banks' face. Just this world weariness that he's been around and done things that have given him this experience and knowledge. And I'm comfortable with that. I don't need the details. That's fine.
I know that you don't want to see this, but I want to see a young Fring and young Hector duke it out. But anyway, I know that you don't want to see that. But
you've never asked me about that.
We talked about that recently, or last time we talked about it. You said you didn't want to see it.
Yeah, no, I think if anything, they should go forward in the same universe. I kind of I would hope that they would expand the universe more and it not just be the 2 shows. But if they did, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
sometimes there is too much of a good thing. So.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing that I found really interesting here is that you have threats to the lab. I mean, we know that that Eduardo probably won't, but the fact that Eduardo could actually learn or is actually learning about something about the lab. I mean, he just by
well, Gus obviously didn't tell him anything about it for obvious reasons. I mean,
of course,
Eduardo just shows up and just kind of wants to take over everything.
Yeah, and he's a total threat to Gus. But it's interesting how he was able to work it so that he could find stuff out that way. That was a really clever moment where he's just basically playing Werner over the phone. Yeah, I'm one of Gus's guys. Blah blah blah. That was a cool.
Dude, moment. I felt bad for the guy at the Western Union knockoff.
Dude,
the redheaded guy who.
And you called that too. You were like, yeah, he's totally gonna get.
Mike was totally believable with the guy and his lie, pretending to Werner is my brother-in-law and his wife's looking for him and where's the nearest hospital and just can I see the footage, and he's just like, that's not a good idea, and the whole where's the hospital, that's like
that was the kicker. Really, that's what convinced him to do it.
And then the way Eduardo just wow, just really though, I still have a hard time believing that he was able to, if there is one criticism in this episode,
able to what?
Eduardo jumped through the ceiling, crawled along the other side. I mean, it was cool looking. It was very cool, but it almost felt like it was something out of a different TV show. It didn't necessarily
because
feel
he was
like
all of a sudden in the ceiling. Yeah. Like literally. I think he had enough time, but the ceiling was up high enough that it was almost like
what, did he jump
virtually
up that thing?
Impossible to do. Yeah.
What, did he move the bench over to or a chair? I didn't see any of that. We didn't hear. Guy was on the phone for like 10 seconds, if that, and then wow. I mean, it was entertaining, and I really enjoyed the way he dropped out of the ceiling just on both legs with the gun out, just like tough guy, you know what I mean? But it was a little, for this universe, a little far-fetched, yeah.
One thing that I noticed that was funny is that we have these two, especially since there's a lot, I mean, it's more than likely Eduardo probably got rid of all the camera footage, apparently.
Oh, I would imagine so,
yeah. Someone's even trying to get in the door when he's he's like, go away. It's like
he just points to the sign that he turned over.
Yeah,
that's another thing. He had time to turn that sign over to closed, and then jump through and find the footage.
And another thing that we were speculating is we were trying to figure out if Kim and Saul were actually going to be together, or actually going to stay together after all the mess that they had been through. And it looks like that they were still trying to stick it out at least. And I know that you say you said as they came in, you were like, they have kind of a loveless thing going on.
Yeah.
But to me, they're just both lawyers, and they have this thing. But I do sense that there's coldness going on between the two of them. So.
Yeah, they definitely don't have. But it's always been that way. They definitely don't have a very intimate type of emotional relationship, and maybe that's because of their upbringings or their profession. I really think that it's who their characters are. They're just not very expressive emotionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, by the end of this episode, I definitely think that relationship is
toast.
Well, Kim was moved by his speech, and she believed that him.
I did too.
So when Jimmy goes to read the brother, the letter from Chuck, and he's like, "This is between us. I shouldn't do this. I was going to try and pull at your heartstrings," and then delves into this story that pulls at your heartstrings.
Yeah,
it actually felt sincere, and Kim believed it, and I believed it as a viewer. I was like, "Wow, okay."
And he's like, "I was totally in a character,"
because he had that breakdown earlier.
Yeah,
in the car, crying, right?
Yeah, so it makes us think that he's in character.
Yeah. So it's the first time you see like an emotional break.
What was that about? You see him finally see him as a human. It
was after he had told the high school girl, they don't matter. You don't need them.
Okay, that's what it was.
He leaves and his car won't start, and he's
that's right.
Pounding it. But then just that wave of emotion, probably because what he was telling her is how he's feeling, and it just probably all came to a head. So then you start to think that maybe this speech he's giving at the end is a legitimate thing. Like, this is, okay, he's finally cracking a little bit and showing some real human emotion besides being manipulative. And it got me. It was another manipulation. And you could tell Kim was they definitely it wasn't subtle. She was definitely bothered by this. And Jimmy already predicting when the gal comes out that he's already got... It's kind of pathological. He was very, emotional in the courtroom. The moment he walks out, he's like, those suckers.
Yeah.
That guy was crying. And then the girl comes up to tell him, hey, we've got some good news. And he's already jovial, like just this emotional shift. And then he's like, hey, honey, let's go get those papers signed. And he just leaves Kim behind. And as the camera tracks back, and you just see her alone. It's
and
kind
of symbolic. He does the finger guns to her.
It's kind of symbolic of their relationship. She'll never understand.
And even the pan away was just horrible.
To me, it was like a Godfather Don Corleone moment. It was just one of those you served your purpose, and what I do is always going to come first, and that's who I am. You said Saul Goodman, and
you said something interesting too. You were like, That's where you're always going to end up, Kim, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's where he's going to.
I feel like she's always going to end up on an emotionally distant and confused side with him.
And she cares for him so much too, because she sacrifices a lot for him. She really has, and there's this whole thing where she's turned on or really into the idea of breaking the law in the respect to help others, serving their purpose for good. There's that whole other end, so it makes you wonder if that's going to actually even continue, or if that's going to completely go away, or might she continue doing that by herself? Because I don't know. That's something to think about.
Well, I think she really cares for Saul. I think Saul cares for her in his own way, but not. She seems to always get caught up in his frenzy, and then.
Mm-hmm.
Gets a reminder of who he is. So, yeah, it's a doomed relationship.
It makes you wonder if they're going to actually even be together by next season, if they're going to have a big time jump.
Yeah.
And they'll be separated. Will Saul have his new car at that point right away? Because they could. This is how they could play it, and I predicted. This is my prediction, but I think they'll do a time jump of maybe a year or something. And Saul will have his new car, and they'll be separate, or maybe they'll be together still and have his new car. I don't know.
Yeah, I predict next season that he'll when it starts, he'll already have, or he'll be establishing himself as Saul Goodman in his office and everything. Yeah, I have a feeling that's my prediction, and then my prediction for next season too.
So a year time jump, you think?
I don't know about a year, but at least long enough for him to have established himself, because he didn't re-register as an attorney. Well, he's registered under a DBA. So he's doing business as Saul Goodman.
Right.
So that it's going to take a little bit of time to get that established. And I don't imagine this show is going to bore us with the details of that establishment.
And they could do it in a fast motion type of way, or a montage if they wanted to,
or they could do anything. But I really think they'll just kind of put us in there. Yeah. And at the same time,
especially since the last thing you see him walking away and doing his and wanting to sign the paper. So go ahead.
And it'll be interesting too to see where it starts off in the present with Jimmy.
Yeah,
in the black and white segment.
We still haven't seen Black and White Saul for a long time. When was the last time we saw him? In the hospital?
They just do it at the beginning of each season.
Okay, so the last time we saw Black and White Saul, he was in the hospital, right?
Yeah, and then he got out, and the cab driver had the
Albuquerque. That's right. I remember that.
Air freshener and was just kind of freaking him out.
The crazy tense moment where it's like,
so he ran. So I know we'll start off with one of those moments because that's going to happen. It's what they do. And then I could see them jumping into Saul already in practice. I could see that. I could also see that. I kind of speculate that I don't know if next season is going to be the last season. They haven't said anything. I'm not even thinking about that. However, if it is, I would imagine that Nacho is going to be a casualty of the show. So I think he might go the distance, but I don't think he'll make it through the entire show. That's just my prediction. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to live through the series.
I do want to see more of Nacho though. I love Nacho. I hope he. I think I agree with you. I don't think he'll survive. But we haven't mentioned Verna yet. Verna, what the hell? Oh my gosh, what a.
I like that character.
He just didn't even realize what you don't realize what you're doing, Werner. It's like you have no clue. It's just he thinks that somehow he can just take right off and then they'll be okay, and it's like. The second, it took him forever to realize, and Mike just, explains to him, you are not trustworthy anymore. And it's like, there's no possible way we can trust you now. And it's like, and it finally sinks in. Like, if Mike had just told him that from the beginning, if you leave, but he didn't think he would leave. So,
well, and I think it was kind of implied too. I mean, Werner just saying that, Vanna just saying that he. Knew Mike was going to be angry. It's like, did you forget about Gus? Like Mike said.
Yeah, it's like
it's not my choice.
My favorite was when he said, "Let me talk to Gus. Let me talk to him. I'll explain it all to him." It's like, no, if you try to explain it to him, he'll cut you with a box cutter.
This conversation serves no purpose. So that was really heartbreaking. But I did like the way that Verna decided to accept his fate and to deal with, making sure that his wife got back safely, even though that's the last thing they'll
that's really sad because he had to basically just be an ass to her.
And here I thought it was going to be the young kid in the group that was going to be the one that was pissing Mike off in the beginning.
We thought it was all going to be Kai. We thought it was going to be Kai for sure, but
instead,
it ended up being the guy you liked the most, the guy who was the most cooperative, the most sought after, the one who Gus trusted from the beginning.
Yeah.
Gus was the one who said, "Okay, I like this guy." He was he seems like he's got a good handle of it. He knows that there's risks. He knows this. He knows that. He sees how many things can happen. He sees he's realistic, and this guy was turned on, but Gus liked him. Yeah. It's really sad. It's just sad.
It is very sad.
Yeah.
But also the fact that Eduardo found out who he was too. There's just all these things that by him leaving caused on Mike's and Gus's side of the story just caused so many problems that it was inevitable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is a shame. I kind of figured once he left that was going to be the end for the character, which is too bad because you just don't want to see that happen.
I wanted him to get away. I really did because I liked him. I wanted him to be able to get away, I thought maybe Mike might find him and then let him get away somehow. But if Mike did that, Gus would just kill Mike too. So crazy episode. I still think maybe last week's episode was a little better, but still they're both teetering on that.
This episode was really rewarding.
Cool
for me.
Factor, amazing.
I'm definitely going to give it. I think for a season finale and a closure to this chapter, I'm going to give it a 4-star. It's must-see if you're a fan of this show. It's good television. Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad are just good I don't even really watch a lot of dramatic television shows that are set in sort of the real world, like your procedural dramas and your courtroom dramas and your crime dramas. And But for some reason, those two shows, they just tend to anchor me in. They're just very cinematic, and it's really good, compelling storytelling. So I applaud them for this season. This was very good.
Yes, very good.
Very good.
Very good, very good.
It sucks we're going to have to wait until, like... Oh, man, are we going to have to wait until next summer, like a full year again? Actually, it was over a year.
Yeah, I mean, this time, yeah, because it usually comes around March, April, right, usually?
Yeah,
it usually comes around
in
spring.
Yeah, and then this year it started up in August, so...
So here's a thought. If we see Aaron Paul coming up in the next, do you think they'll actually make him wear motion capture stuff and make him look that much younger, or do you think they'll just give him makeup?
Has he aged that much since the show? I haven't really seen.
Watch the pilot for Breaking Bad, and dude, he looks like he's 17, 18 years old. He looks like a young child. He looks like a kid.
Sure.
And it's like now
from the end. Yeah.
I mean, by the end of Breaking Bad, it's
a few years later. So.
It's like 8 years later. I mean, it's by the time they finished Breaking Bad, it was I don't know how many years, but it was he looks significantly older. And now, even now, how old he looks now. So, what do you think? Do you think if they have Aaron Paul in this, do you think they would just give him makeup, or do you think they would actually
makeup like what they do with Bob Odenkirk and Michael McKean? They have him slather him in makeup, and you can tell that that Bob Odenkirk's wearing a wig because you see his actual hairline in the flash forward scenes.
Yeah,
where he's got the male pattern baldness and everything. And Michael McKean, when they did the flashback in the season, in the episode earlier this season, where Kim and Jimmy are still working in the mailroom of HMM, or HHM, HMM. They gave him a wig and makeup. Wasn't the most convincing, but it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
Yeah. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what the next black and white Cinnabon Saul is for next season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I want to know what happens to him in the present.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
And I wonder if when the show does finally come to an end, if it'll bookend with that, or if it'll be an entire episode or two, or even a season of what happens. Maybe it'll be one of those weird shows where it structures like 5 seasons before the series it spin-offs from, and then a season of what happens next. Or that'd be interesting. I'd watch that.
Yeah,
it'd be an interesting way to watch the show too.
I think Kim. I predict that next season we're gonna see Saul and Kim separate. And I think they'll be broken up already, and Kim will be maybe still be talking, but Saul will be indifferent about it. I think that he'll just be like, "Okay, fine, babe," because that's the
he seems that's his self-defense mechanism is to cut himself off from people.
I think they might have him run into scholarship girl, I can't remember her name, but I think that they might have him. No, they probably just won't have her in the show at all. But I think
it would be an interesting side note, just in another episode to see her maybe succeed in some way. But because he's asking her, do you understand what I'm saying? And she's like, I think I do.
And the reason I say that is because I think that has a lot of play into how his character develops. I think that's the big part of what he goes through, because since you mention it, he's crying and he's weeping in the car over this thing. Yeah. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts? Did you love this season? Did you love this last episode, this final wrap up of season 4? It's hard to believe it's only 4 seasons. There's so much. It feels like there's so much material here. Even the beginning of this season, only 3 seasons. That's only 30 hours. It feels like there's a lot more than that to backstory now. So anyway,
yeah, it's definitely a pretty good backstory, which it feels long because there's a lot of detail. They put in a lot of subplots, a lot of character development, and it moves at a really good speed. So it conveys a lot through the seasons. I think I get a lot of story in 10 episodes, which I like the way that a lot of shows are doing that now. Even network shows. I think that's a good way of doing storytelling. Condense it instead of dragging it out. There's no filler. There are no filler episodes with Better Call Saul or even Breaking Bad. So
there was one filler episode with Breaking Bad.
Really?
Yeah, there was one. And this is just my opinion. The Fly episode. That was the one that was directed by Rian Johnson. The Fly. It's when there was a fly in the.
I didn't think it was filler.
There were some significant points in it, but to me it was filler. Anyway, what do you guys think about... What?
To me it wasn't.
That's right. Agree to disagree.
No.
And San Diego means a whale's vagina, so agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
What do you guys think? Did you love this season? Did you love this last episode? Do you think they'll have Aaron Paul in this finally at some point? Do you think they're going to actually have Bryan Cranston? They did hint at it at Comic-Con. They hinted at it. They hinted at, that at some point they might have them and actually do a small cameo in there. But
yeah, I would be happy with that. It would have to be done right to actually connect. So that would be interesting to see Bryan Cranston go back to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah,
plaid shirt, khaki pants guy who works at a car wash and then gets ridiculed by his own students at the car wash.
Yeah. At
said car wash afterwards. Anyway, we love you guys so much.
I'm surprised he never actually blew any of them up. Stupid students.
I know, it would be actually funny. Because, he gets after there's that one scene where he puts the washer, the window washer on the guy's battery.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
remember that guy? That was a reoccurring thing because he kept on running into that guy. He ran into him in the bank. Because this guy was just like a jerk to everybody, and so he screwed over. Anyway, what do you guys think? Did you love this? We love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We are the Fanatics of Film, and we also are fanatics for awesome television. My name is Ben.
I'm Joe, and as always, like and subscribe if you want more. And if you do, just let us know. Put that in the comments.